Morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So excited to be here with you guys. So grateful. Let me know how you guys are doing this morning. How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? Has everyone had a great week? I hope everyone's had a great week. This has been a crazy week for me. We had our event in Anaheim, California, which I hope that everybody's going to be at the November 1st and 2nd week. My dog's messing with me right now, so I'm trying to stabilize myself. No. Um, yeah, so Anaheim was amazing. It was super cool. There was a little over 1,000 people there. It was crazy. There was a testimonial of a 19-year-old girl that came up there with her parents, and she's on the autism spectrum. And for the last year, she's been on our taking the kids line because she's based out of Mexico, which the kids line will be coming to us soon, which is exciting. And this little girl, she's not little anymore. I mean, she's 19, but she has been nonverbal her whole life, and she's been in diapers her whole life. And so the last year she's been on the kids line, and she stood on that stage in front of 1,000 people and spoke to everybody in the microphone. And since she's been on the kids line, she has no longer been wearing diapers, which is absolutely amazing. So everybody, of course, was crying, and Vital Health gifted them a lifetime supply of the kids line. And so everybody was crying and it was beautiful. It was amazing. So, there's times in this business and entrepreneurship that things are challenging because the hardest thing on this planet to do is be a parent. That's for sure the most challenging thing. But the next most challenging thing to do is be an entrepreneur. And so it's just it's quite amazing to watch ourselves show up in entrepreneurship, and we continue to push through because of the mission and because of the movement and because of the lives that are impacted. So yeah, it was a really emotional moment. Everybody was crying. We were like, oh, especially when she was speaking, the little girl, when she was, able to talk to 1,000 people, if anybody knows how intense that is, going from nonverbal to being able to stand on a stage and to address over 1,000 people in a room. It's quite amazing. So I am very grateful to be here with everybody today. And today, um, we are going to we're gonna talk about our growth here. And so I want you, let me get my little thingamajigger set up. Dina, you were at the event. You felt the power of that experience. I'm so glad that you got to witness it. And so November 1st and 2nd, everybody, we will be back in Anaheim, California, which is going to be absolutely incredible. I hope that everybody's there. Actually, drop a 1 in the chat if you were going to be in Anaheim, California, November 1st and 2nd. Tickets are in the back office. Make sure you are there. Events are powerful. If having success in this business is something that you want, let me put it to you this way. If you question like how important is it for me to be at an event, I've never seen somebody make it great in the industry and miss events. Now that doesn't and now if something's happening with family and there's a baptism or a bat mitzvah or don't like I don't I'm not militant in the way to like skip your most important family event, but like if there's something that's not critical stopping you from getting there, then you do not miss events. That's pretty much how it works. So all right, there will be room blocks. Yes, I believe there will be. Right now I know that the tickets are just for sale in the back office. Ella, Gracie. I have puppies and they puppy a lot. And so they were chilling and now they're not chilling anymore. So, okay. So I might have to stop at some point and relocate them if you start hearing like lion sounds in the background. It's because they're two 45-pound sisters and they literally play like lions. Okay. So, and they follow me everywhere I go, so I can't avoid it. All right. So today I I want you to picture this. Okay, I want you to picture planting a seed, and I want you to picture watering it every single day, and you give it sunlight, you take care of it, and you do this for a whole year and nothing happens. And then you're like, okay, year 2, nothing happens. Year 3, still nothing is happening. And for 4 years, not a single sprout, nothing is coming out of the ground. And you've done all the right things. And most people would say that it wasn't working, and most people would give up on it. But the person who keeps going, the person who keeps watering in faith, in the 5th year, the 5th, number 5, something amazing happens. And in just 6 weeks, this tiny little seed sprouts out of the ground and shoots up 90 feet tall into the air. Does anybody know what it is that I'm talking about? This is the Chinese bamboo tree. Exactly. Yep. Bamboo. Absolutely amazing. Good job, guys. Now, my question is, what if your business is exactly like that bamboo seed right now? And it's interesting because there's so much work that's happening in the background that sets us up for success, because the bamboo's growth happens underground, and it's building a root system so deep and so strong that when it is ready, it's able to sustain this explosive growth without falling over. And your business is the same. There's invisible work, the conversations, the connecting, the creating the relationships, the follow-ups, the training calls, the personal development, the events, the super uncomfortable moments of growth where we're reaching out to people, or we're getting over our anxiety of having conversations. These are all part of your root system. And just like that bamboo, you might not see the results right away, but that doesn't mean that nothing's happening. It means everything is happening beneath the surface. So in this industry, what we're doing here is it's way more than just building, a business and hitting a rank. We're developing ourselves to be the people that can handle being an entrepreneur and having a strong business and entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is extremely challenging in so many ways. It's literally not just going and getting numbers. It's leadership. When you're and especially in this industry of what we're doing, right? Because we're leading people, we have teams of people, and that's everything from conflict resolution, which is strong communication, that is creating relationships, that's being diligent with our time, that's being organized, that's being disciplined, which is truly just devotion. That is, I mean, there's so many factors that go into this business, but we're developing ourselves, and we're becoming greater versions of ourselves. So stage 1, when you're coming in, you're planting the seed. So this is your launch phase. You're joining, you're setting your goals, you're getting clear on your why. What is so important to you that you're willing to devote your time and effort into this business? You're learning the products, you're understanding our mission, you're understanding how we're impacting people with the products that we have. You start putting yourself out there, you're talking about what you're excited about, you're talking about your mission, you're showing up on social media, you're putting the seed in the soil. And most people are going to think that the results should come immediately. And it's not even like a conscious thought. It's like a subconscious expectation. Anybody ever felt that before? Feel the frustration of your business not growing as fast as you want it to? I was having a conversation with a girl yesterday because we did a in-person scan event last night. And this girl, I'm just talking to her, and I'm like, look, I know you've got what it takes, but don't let your mind set these expectations for you. And then you feel defeated because you didn't reach your expectations. She's like, oh my gosh, that's the hard part for me, because most people have one of two things happening. They're either very critical of themselves, or they're setting expectations for themselves that might not be realistic. And there's this weird thing that happens with life where you have to like set these goals, But then if you don't hit the goal, you don't sit and suffer and beat yourself up about it either. You set this goal and vision like, okay, this is where I'm headed, this is what I want to happen. And then once it doesn't happen, you're like, okay, let me reassess, let me set a new goal and let me go for it again. You don't, sit and suffer in the what coulda, shoulda, woulda been. And you don't beat yourself up for not making it happen either. You're just like, oh, okay, let me reflect. What could I have done better? How can I show up differently? And you move the target and then you just keep it moving. And so that's right. We keep it moving, LaDonna. And so that's the first phase. Then the second phase, this is the watering. This is the grind that nobody celebrates. This is the private work, the days when it's so tempting to not show up. It's the time that nobody's really honestly going to notice. And this is really truly where real leaders are made, because they're focused on consistency and not the intensity. They're focused on showing up every single day. Ella, Grace, for themselves in some way. And how many people here, drop a 2 in the chat if you do personal development in some form every single day, even if it's for 5 minutes, even if it's for 5, 10 minutes, just a couple of minutes that you're putting something into your brain that is empowering, that is positive. Right? Okay, great. I'm so happy to see that. Yay. That's so exciting. And your personal development, you guys, when it comes to developing yourself as a leader, you got to remember that leadership isn't just putting the personal development in. Leadership is also stillness. If you take a look at the challenge that we called it a challenge. We've been calling it a challenge, but we're actually going to change it to an experience. But it's a 10-day experience where people are sitting in silence and prayer for 5 minutes a day. They're eating the right foods. They are listening to personal development. They're moving their body. Leadership, if like, to become a really strong leader, it's so much deeper than just personal development as well. It's also sitting in stillness. It's also taking time to make sure that you're so grounded that when you have a team of 50, 100, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 people, and they're all reaching out to you throughout the day, because this is real. Like when you're when you're leading a really big team, you have all the issues and all the conflict and all the challenges, and everything comes up to you. So you're having to help people navigate relationships. You're having to help people to find the clarity. You're having to help people with conflict resolution. So stillness is just as important as putting the information in. So that's the noisy part, but then there's the quiet time that has to happen as well. Making sure that you're taking care of your body, making sure that your sleep is on point so that you can show up the next day. That I realized so much while I was in California, you guys. I had like 4 nights of awful sleep, like the worst consistent days of sleep ever. And I don't know, so at least since I was drinking, I don't think I've had this many bad days of sleep in a row. It was crazy. I just wasn't sleeping. It was so weird. And so it really affected me the next day. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, for people that are not prioritizing their sleep, you don't understand how that impacts you the next day. And then to be a leader where you're being pulled in multiple directions all the time, you have to be on your A game. Like you have to have clarity, you have to have the energy, you have to have the groundedness, you have to have the focus, you have to have the tools in your toolbox to pull out when it's time to support conflict resolution. And you have to be able to be organized. You have to be able to prioritize. Like there's so many pieces that go into leading. I know, right? So much excitement. You have to have all these pieces in to be a really well-rounded leader. And so instead of trying to rush that process and wish that you were somewhere where you weren't, really taking a moment and looking at yourself and being like, who do I have to become to be able to have this team of 500 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people? And depending on the amount of money that you want to make is going to depend on what size team that is. So if you're like, I want to make 100,000 a month. Okay, 100,000 a month is going to be a multi-thousand person team. When you have a multi-thousand person team, what workload do you think that looks like? I get over 100 text messages a day, and between all my platforms. And so that then I have to still navigate the rest of my life. I'm still a mom. I still have to buy groceries. I still have to get the stuff that we need from Amazon. I still have to do the laundry. I have to take care of my dogs. Like in I'm going to school right now, so there's a lot happening. And so when I before I even thought about adding school on, I had to ask myself like, okay, is this not a good decision for me to add school on right now? And instead of dimming myself down, I asked, who do I have to become? What do I have to grow into? How do I have to change in order to be somebody that can handle all of these things? And you're going to have to ask yourself that. You're going to have to really truly look at yourself in the mirror, and not with criticism, but with, who do I have to become to lead a team of 100 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, depending on how much money it is that you really want to make in this industry. And it's just I'm just all about like being super realistic about what you want and then backtracking what it takes to get there. Like super simple. You know what I'm saying? It's like a think of it like a tank of gas. If you're like, I want to drive from here to California, how much gas does that take? Okay, that's going to take this much gas. That means I need to save up this much money. Okay, great. Now you know the expectations. Now you know the work that has to get done. I have to have this much money to get this distance. That means I need to do blank, blank, and blank to make the money. And you just keep backtracking it. And so stage three is when your roots are ready and the growth is quick. And that's when you have people saying, it's funny because people say like, oh, you're so lucky, or they think that it just happened overnight, and it wasn't. It was years of you showing up and developing yourself physically, emotionally, energetically. You were in the background doing the work the whole time. And when I look at, I compare a lot of stuff to fitness because I'm into fitness. And for me to really truly build my body the way that I wanted it to, it was a multi-year process. It was not, I mean, yeah, there was some like little, little muscle pop outs and like little things that were happening that were like yay, and like little small wins that kept me going. But to actually really truly get to the vision I had of what I wanted, because for anybody that doesn't know, I went from being an alcoholic, a drug user, smoking a pack a day for 10 years, to it's more like 12 years, to quitting all of that and jumping into fitness and completely changing my life. And that was 10 years ago. But when I jumped over, I was this little tiny, I had just come out of anorexia. So I was like super tiny. I was like 90 pounds, which is 30 pounds lighter than I am now. And I was malnourished and tiny. And yeah, I looked at these really healthy girls, and I'm like looking and I'm like, wow, they look so great. Like, how do I do that? And then I started looking at their social media and started comparing how long, or started like scrolling down to look at their posts and see how long it took them to get there. And I was looking at the photos, and it was like 2 to 3 years it was taking these girls to get there. So it set the expectations for me of like, okay, I got 2 to 3 years of putting in some serious work in order to get to this vision that I have for myself, this greater vision. And so when you take a look at you, it's like, okay, at yourself, who do you have to become? What do you still need to strengthen? What do you still need to step into? Where are the areas that you still need to water in order for you to develop yourself into the person that is ready to handle this amount of growth? And some of the pitfalls that people have are, when you're not seeing those results. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, be honest with yourself. 1 through 10, how honest are you or how consistent are you at watering every single day, even when you're not seeing results? I mean, are you showing up every single day? 1 through 10. I love when Miles had said it once on a Zoom. He was saying that when you if you were your boss, would you still have you hired, or would you have fired you already if this was your job? And I thought that that was interesting. I'm like, oh, that's a great self-reflection question. So 1 through 10, how consistent are you at watering every single day? And focus on what you're putting in, not what's coming out. Literally focus on, I'm showing up, I'm having conversations, I'm developing my own story, I'm sharing my own story, I'm doing my personal development, I'm learning how to communicate better with people. Whatever it is that you see that you need to work on, are you doing that every single day? And doing it every single day. Even in the smallest, sometimes I have to modify my yoga in the morning. It's an hour. My normal yoga is an hour long, and sometimes I have to modify my yoga to 40 minutes. Sometimes I have to modify my yoga to 30 minutes, but I'll modify it and not skip it. That way I'm still showing up in some way, because you don't want to lose the momentum. You don't want to lose the movement towards it. You don't want to just stop. Now, doing something, even if it's small, it's something. Okay. So how can you still show up and be consistent even if you have to make modifications? And you don't want to compare yourself in the sense that it makes you feel like you're less than, or you're not good at. Comparison in the sense, like, I used to compare myself to these girls. I looked up to them, but I would compare myself in the sense of, like, okay, what do I have to do to be where they're at? But it didn't feel like negative. It didn't feel like I was putting myself down. It was like, okay, I was setting these expectations of what I needed to do to get to where I wanted to go. And so what comparisons are holding you back from showing up as your fullest, most radiant self? So I want to do a little visualization. If you have the ability to close your eyes, just close your eyes for a minute. We're going to be together for a moment. And I just want you to picture yourself in a beautiful, quiet garden. And in front of you is a patch of soil. And you have freshly planted your little bamboo seed. And this seed is your business. This seed is your dream. And you kneel down and you water it for the first time, and you feel excitement, and you feel gratitude, and you feel hope. And then day after day, you come back and you're watering your little seed. And some days it's sunny and you feel inspired. And other days it's stormy and you wonder if anything is happening. And the weeks turn into months, and the months turn into years, but you keep watering your little seed, and you keep showing up. And you can't see it yet, but deep beneath the soil, strong roots are weaving themselves into the earth. And these roots are so strong that they could hold up a skyscraper. And then one day, without warning, you walk into your garden and a green shoot is pushing through the dirt. And every day from that point, it's growing taller and taller and taller. 2 feet, 10 feet, 30 feet, until one morning you see it towering 90 feet above you, swaying proudly in the sun. And you realize that it wasn't magic, it wasn't luck, it was the years that you showed up when no one was watching. And that harvest, that growth, it was inevitable because you never stopped watering your stock. Now, that's what you guys, I'm all about visualization. I'm all about growth. If you have the time every single day before we started Vital Health, we literally visualized ourselves on stage. We literally visualized the success of Vital Health. Like, we visualized speaking on stage. We visualized thousands of people in a room talking to them. Like, me and David were very, very intense about our visualization as we were developing our business. So I'm really big on you guys taking time to visualize your business, visualize the version of you, that this confident version of you, having these conversations with ease, meeting people, creating connections, standing on stage, celebrating what it looks like when you have hit a financial milestone that you're really excited about. It's visualization is critical, because what it's doing is it's setting you up, and you can't just visualize it, you have to feel it at the same time. And so you feel the emotions of what is happening when you're getting these, when you're achieving these things. And when you align your body's energetic state to what you want, you actually attract it out of the quantum field. So that's like, I mean, everything is energy, everything is magnetic, everything is all about attraction. You guys, I'm sure, how many people here have read The Secret? If you guys have read The Secret, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. But this stuff is real, and it's real because I know, because I've practiced it and we've done it. Like, we've done it with Vital Health, we've done it in the past. it works. So if you haven't read The Secret, I highly recommend it. It's really awesome. It'll set you in the right direction of understanding this. But it's just yeah, there's a balance between you being an energetic match for what you want to happen and also putting in the effort to get there. And you have to do both at the same time. Oh, yay. You said that you could see everything shoot up. And it might not take years to build your business. You know, it might not take you, it might not be a multi-year process for you to have success here, but just setting the expectation. I talked to somebody last night and I'm like, if it took you 2 years, 3 years, if it took you a whole year to where you were making an extra 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 a month, would it be worth it to not give up on your business? I mean, and I asked that same question to you. Would it be worth it for you to not give up on your business and this mission if in a year from now or 2 years from now or 5 years from now you were making an extra 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 plus a month? Would it be worth it to not give up? And then during that process, you wouldn't be able to say that it was for nothing. Sometimes we put in work to things. Hello, relationships, right? That you're like, I did it for nothing. I wasted those years with this person for nothing. And the reality is it's never for nothing. Nothing is ever for nothing. It's only for nothing if we choose to not look back and reflect on the person that we've become during the process. And the process is everything. The process in life, that's where all the gold is. It's not the outcome. That it seems like the outcome is the gold, but it's the process that's the gold. That's what shifts us and shapes us and allows us to develop into this more radiant version of ourselves. It's through the process. And so you can't, you wouldn't be able to say at the end of that time that it was for nothing. You have now forged yourself into a completely different human. And so I want you guys to think about over the next or the 90 days, what are 3 actions that you will commit to every single day? And I have a little, I have a, so I work with my team and I have them every single day just focus on starting a conversation, and you get a point for each
Good,
one.
how
So
are you?
they'll put how many
Good.
points they hold on a second. They'll put how
I'm
many
having a
points
call,
they
but it's
have.
nothing. Oh. What have you been up to? You got a new boat?
There we go. What have you been up to? What's everyone been up to? So they get a point for each one. So a point for starting a conversation, a point for getting people in front of the information, and a point for sharing about the business in some way, whether it's through a story, whether they're drinking their V daily or posting their capsules or whatever. And so you can have 10 points in a day, but those 3 things, doing a minimum of those 3 things, talking about your business, starting a conversation, or getting somebody in front of the information. So what 3 things are you going to do for the next 90 days that are non-negotiable? And I set the bar. Look, some people are like, I'll get 5 people a day in front of the information. I would rather you have something that is smaller that you will be consistent with than have something that is, there we go, then give yourself something that's too big for you to bite off, and then you don't do it, and then you're like, here's what happens. If you're like, I'm gonna reach out to 5 people a day or 10 people a day, and then you're running out of time and you're like, oh man, I don't think I'm gonna get to my 5 today. Oh, I just won't do it. Or you're not able to get to your 5 and you're like, that's where the judgment or the criticism can step in. So I would rather you set something super small and really easy to achieve that's like, okay, and then if you go higher than that, then great. But you're expanding your nervous system as well, because as you're building that's another thing that comes in entrepreneurship. I'll probably do a whole talk on that, about expanding your nervous system as you're trying to grow your business, because your nervous system isn't going to let you grow your business outside of the growth that you've been able to expand your nervous system. I want to start explaining it, but I'm not going to start explaining it because that's a whole other conversation. So I'll do another talk on that. But your nervous system has to grow with you as you're growing as well, because it'll block you. It'll start to block it. It'll start to block your growth. Okay. And if your breakthrough came tomorrow, what would your foundation be ready to handle it? And you can implode your business. You can grow too fast. You know, that's actually happened to me multiple times. When I first joined in network marketing 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and one of those. And my first month, you know, it was interesting because I had just built, I was silently building my influence in my network before that, but before I ever knew I was going to join network marketing. So when I first got sober, I started posting about it on my social media, and I started sharing with people my workouts and my food, and people that knew me just started talking to me because about what I was doing, because they knew that I wasn't into fitness and eating well and like doing all that before. They knew me as a wedding planner and that was it. And then they knew that I partied, that I like to drink. And so when they saw me like healthy, they were like, what's happening? And so people started talking to me and they're like, hey, I want to be closer to you because of what you post. And so I started posting all this positive stuff. So when I first got into network marketing, I had like 2 years, 3 years under my belt of posting all this positive stuff and workouts, and it was exciting on my social media. But it was literally me just posting out of pure joy and gratitude that I was healthy. Like I was just grateful. So when I got into network marketing, I sponsored 20 people in my first couple weeks because I had built this influence with people that I didn't even mean to do. And so when I first sponsored my people, I had no roots built for me in entrepreneurship. I didn't have the personal development. I didn't have the organization. I didn't have the systems. I didn't have my roots were not planted. So when I sponsored all those people, I didn't know how to take care of them. So they started growing and I didn't know what I was doing. And so I lost a lot of those people because I couldn't support them. And at the time, my leadership was so busy that they couldn't even really take care of me. Their roots weren't set up. So they couldn't even take care of me. So now we have all these people coming in and they're these little babies that couldn't get fed the way they needed to get fed, and a bunch of them didn't make it. And so that happened one time. David and I, we went to another network marketing company like 3.5, 4 years ago, and they imploded. They grew so fast that when we were like 3 months in, and they didn't have product anymore. So we couldn't we couldn't grow the business, and they didn't have product for like 6 months. And so that imploded because the structure wasn't ready to support the growth. So it's important that we just take all these things into consideration of as we're building, like, okay, who do I still have to become to support the type of growth that I'm excited about and that I'm interested in and that I would love to be able to see. So I want you guys to just remember that your bamboo tree is already growing, and all of your conversations, all of your shares, all of your moments of self-reflection, every time you follow up with someone, every time you make a post on social media, every time you learn something about yourself, or every time you learn something about the products, every time you have a conversation about the products, every time you do a scan, every single moment that you direct your energy with this intention, you are growing your bamboo tree. You are growing your business, and you don't know how far you are away from that breakthrough. And the most important thing is that you are your biggest support fan, your biggest cheerleader. You have to do that every day. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. You cannot depend on anyone else to be your cheerleader for you. You be your biggest cheerleader. You show up for you. You do the consistent daily things, and without expectation, just with excitement, with joy, with gratitude, you show up, and just know that we're here for you. And everybody at Vital Health, we're grateful to be a family with everybody here. So I love all of you. I appreciate all of you. And I hope to see you guys. I'll see you guys probably in a couple weeks because I'm not on for probably like 10 to 14 days. I'll let you guys know for everybody that's here because this is a good time for me to tell you. I will be at a meditation, you guys. I'm going to go work on my bamboo tree in silence. There's going to be a 4-day period from the 21st to the 23-day 3.5-day period from the 21st to the 24th. I will not be available. I will not. I will be in meditation, and I will be working on developing myself and continuing to create a place of clarity and stillness within myself so that I can continue to show up as the most neutral and grounded leader that I possibly can be. So I literally won't be able to have my phone. So just want to let you guys know, 21st to the 24th. And yeah, it's critical, you guys. You have to have balance in your life. I refuse, even though our business is growing, I will not let go of the things that I know that stabilize me to be who I need to be to show up as a leader for you guys. So I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. If you need anything, let us know.